Without a doubt, Missouri is going to be Boston College's toughest game on their schedule this year, but I still think they can beat them.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate College Football HC. It's a brand new mobile game that is completely free, has no ads, and 100% playable offline. Begin your coaching legacy today. All right, we're putting Duquesne behind us. We're going to get into Missouri today. We're going to talk about why they're a tough team, but I still think Boston College could potentially win this one. Look at why this is the biggest game on their schedule this year, and I'm going to give you an X factor, a player on Boston College that's not Thomas Castellanos that I think could be one of the biggest X factors in this game. You want to make sure you stay tuned and also hit that like and subscribe button before you head on out. All right, so the opening spread came out on many different services, including FanDuel. 15 points. Missouri is the favorite, and I get it. You look at what Missouri has done in the not just this season, but last season as well. You know, they ended last season by beating Ohio State in a bowl game. That's a great win to end a season. And they've pulled that momentum over into two quick wins. They haven't played anybody yet. I mean, they played against Buffalo and Murray State and have won by a combined score of 89-0. No points. That this defense has given up, which is incredible, especially given that their former defensive coordinator is already he left at the end of last year to LSU. So they have a very well-balanced team. When you're looking at Mizzou, the part that is interesting is that they've got a relatively mobile quarterback themselves because their leading scorer is Brady Cook, their quarterback. And it's not through the air. He's only thrown one touchdown pass this entire season. He's ran for 5. In fact, this game could be a big matchup of running teams. Missouri has 9 rushing touchdowns. Brady Cook has 3 of them. Nate Noel has 2, and Jamal Roberts has 2. So they've run the ball for 434 yards. That is, for 2 games is pretty good. It's not BC good, but it's pretty good. So they're able to run the ball. And, when you look at this team, you see that they've shut out 2 bad teams, but they've got talent. Nate Noel, their running back, is very good. Luther Burden, excuse me, I don't know why I called him Luther Hurd. Luther Burden, the third, that's why. Their junior wide receiver is arguably the best wide receiver in college football. He is a bona fide stud. 1 first-round draft pick. Last season, he had 86 receptions for 1,212 yards and 9 touchdowns. This guy is a problem. And so, he was hurt last week. I don't know. We'll have to see what Eli Drinkwitz says this week about his health status, because if they lose him, that would be a huge boost for BC. But if he does play, and I would imagine he's going to play, who's going to cover him? It's got to be Amari Jackson. He's a 5'11" wide receiver, about the same size as Jackson. We've seen Max Tucker so far do okay, but not great. And I don't think against Burden. I think Burden would expose him a little bit. He's a younger defensive back, and I think if you put him out there against the best wide receiver in the country, it's gonna be it would be tough sledding for Tucker. No offense to him, he's still picking things up. But Amari Jackson, he's been around a while. He's done he's played against some good wide receivers. I would put him on him, and if he goes in the slot, Kari Johnson, I would not hate having him on Burden either, because Johnson's a big physical dude, and I'd love to see him kind of rattle him a little bit. I think that would be a good fit for BC as well. Now, if you are new to Boston College, maybe Bill O'Brien has caught your attention and you haven't been watching in a while. BC played Missouri in 2021 in what could arguably be Jeff Hafley's best game or his high point, his high water mark as a Boston College head coach. That was the game Dennis Grosel led BC down the field at the end of in overtime and threw a touchdown pass to Zay Flowers. And then Connor Bazelak, the quarterback from Mizzou, threw an interception to Brandon Sebastian for BC to win it. Now, Missouri fans, they'll be quick to remind you that Missouri, I believe, was either 2-2 or 2-1 at that point, and BC fans still stormed the field. On one hand, I love fun. On the other hand, I kind of get where they're coming from. But it sounds like Drinkwitz sees that as a little personal. He was on a podcast last night, or a radio show, and says, if you don't think Boston College has my attention, you're dead wrong. So he knows, he remembers. He also, he's a lot less chatty than he was last time. Remember, Drinkwitz had, and I know BC's social media went after it. He had some comments about the state of Massachusetts. It had to do with recruiting and how it's not worth his time to come up here because there's no recruits and blah, 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 blah. And so he kind of gave BC bulletin board material last time. You don't need to do that, especially when you're playing at home and you're a 15-point favorite. BC versus Missouri for this game is the only, I believe on Saturday, I know there's a Friday one too, the only ranked game on Saturday. Number 6, Missouri. Number 24, Boston College. This is going to be a fun one. I'm really interested to see how both of these teams look against actual opponents. BC arguably has played a tougher schedule. I know Florida State has looked like dog poo, but at least they're a team. Murray State and Buffalo are not. They're nothing. And Missouri, if you look at their schedule, they're playing a pretty cupcake schedule other than playing Bama. They've got a pretty easy one. So I'm interested to see how BC looks against a tougher team. I'd love to see if BC can hold their own against them. This is tough. This is going to be a very tough game. We'll get into that in just a moment. But there is a chance that BC could win this. I love what we've seen so far out of Bill O'Brien as a head coach. I think that he easily outcoached Mike Norvell, and I thought Mike Norvell was one of the best coaches in the country heading into this season. He has to go against Eli Drinkwitz, who's also a very good coach. But I would think that BC is going to have some sort of plan that's going to hopefully limit what Mizzou can do offensively. That's going to be a big key factor here. Long drives that take time off the clock, like you saw against Florida State, that slow down Missouri from being able to just run the ball and do a whole bunch of things offensively. That's going to be the best chance. And I trust BC can do that. It's going to be all about execution for BC. Can they perform at a high level like they've done the first 2 weeks? I think they can do it. I'm not sure where, you guys are going to ask me to. I think they're going to win. I'm not there to make my decision yet. I still got to think about this. I still do. But I think 15 points is high. But you never know. BC could, keep it close and then let up a fluky touchdown at the end or something like that as Missouri tries to pad their playoff stats. I could see that happening too. So in a moment, I'm going to talk about why this is the biggest and toughest game left on Boston College's schedule. We'll get into that in just a moment. Hey, Locked On Boston College fans, I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do, Ultimate College Football HC. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your football team to glory. Can you actually imagine being the head coach of Boston College? From recruiting players and hiring coaching staffs to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships, you control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. You'll be able to handle the pressure. And here's what I really love about the game. You are responsible for calling offensive plays during the games. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but will shape the future and legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. You can play on the go and as you want and when you want to. And of course, we have a special offer for Locked On Boston College fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk as it will get your team off to a strong start. To download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com. or look it up in the App Store. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. Thank you all who have made Locked On Boston College your first listen every day. If you're a first listener, you guys are awesome. If this is your first time checking out Locked On Boston College, we are a daily Boston College podcast. We do this 20 to 30 minutes every single weekday, and even after games. We're the only daily Boston College podcast. So if you're getting into Bill O'Brien and this new era at Boston College, hit that subscribe button before you leave and give us a 5-star review. Thank you all who have done so. Now, the great thing about college football, when you look at a schedule, is that it adapts and changes as the season goes on. When you look at a season before it starts, you look at games and you say to yourself, that's a win, that's a loss, that's a win, that's a loss. And if you were to say that after the season, sometimes 50, 60% of those games go differently than what you expected them to go because of things that you didn't expect, whether it's an injury or the program's not playing as well, or the Seminoles are just falling apart at the seam. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean, right? So right now, the schedule was what we talked about all summer, how tough this schedule was going to be. And right now, based on how every team is playing, Missouri, without a doubt, is the toughest game left on their schedule. This is it. This is the tough one for them. If you win this game, you have done something I thought was impossible. Beating Florida State and Missouri both on the road in the first 3 weeks. That would be an insane way to start a career for Bill O'Brien at Boston College. That would set a tone that Boston College has never seen before. BC is not supposed to do these types of things. So if they can go into Missouri and somehow win this, you've got lightning in a bottle. You've got something special brewing in Chestnut Hill. Because you look at the rest of the schedule, you've got teams like SMU that look bad. You have teams like UVA who hasn't really played anyone. You have, Michigan State, Western Kentucky. All of these are winnable games. Even Syracuse. I know folks are really liking Syracuse, but they should have lost that game against Georgia Tech. They almost did. So there's no other game that you're looking at that going, they're not going to win this. Every other game, Virginia Tech included, is a coin flip at this point. And that makes the rest of the season so exciting. And the results are tantalizing. Could you go 8-4 with this schedule? Could Bill O'Brien get to a good bowl game? If they play their cards right and play really well, could they be fighting for an ACC championship? We're getting ahead of ourselves, I think, a little bit here when we're talking about this kind of stuff, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, folks. I know Clemson, the favorites have to be Clemson, Miami, and potentially Louisville for those top spots to make the ACC championship. But you look at power polls right now, and they got Boston College near the top in every single one. They're like either number 3 or 4 in the ACC. And that's only because they've only played 2 games. But nothing I've seen says that they're gonna just fall apart at the seams. I think this team is too well coached. They have too much talent to just fall apart like teams of yore. This game has the potential to change all of the narratives around Boston College. Even if they lost close, I still think it's not a bad outcome. But if they were to win, and again, I say it could happen. I don't think this is Mizzou has a 99% chance of winning here. I think BC could potentially stun things here. If they were to win this, all of a sudden Boston College is going to be taken very seriously. They're going to have folks talking about them as contenders again. They're no longer the team that you lost to. Oh my God, how did you lose to Boston College? Boston College, the perception now is this is a team that takes seriously. This is a team that has a coach that has put this program into the right frame of mind that they can be the way that they were in 2007, 2008. And before that, all those years where they were top 25 teams. Because they're playing like a top 25 team right now. and as they should be because they're number 24. So this game against Mizzou has a ton of implications for them. We found out on Monday that the game against Michigan State, the red bandana game next Saturday on the 21st, is going to be an 8 p.m. start. Just imagine the atmosphere if BC goes to that game, winning 2 games against top 10 teams. I know Florida State is now 0-2, but they were top 10 when you played them. That would be 2 wins against top 10 teams. What would Alumni Stadium be like if they can do that? It would be insane. The atmosphere would be electric. You could feel the energy from New York. You could power the Empire State Building with the electricity coming out of Alumni Stadium. It would be the biggest Boston College home game in years. Got to win against Mizzou, though. They got some work to do. But if you're like me, you're starting to trust what Bill O'Brien is doing here. He's got something building. I think it's a monster. In our final segment, I want to look at who I think the offensive and defensive X factors for the Eagles are going to be this weekend. These are players that maybe we're not talking about a lot, but I think could have some big games against the Tigers. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Grab a 5-hour energy shot to stay alert to watch all your favorite games. Or if you stayed up late to see that intense overtime game, take a 5-hour energy shot in the morning so you can start your day. When I was in that press box and I'm looking at that Michigan State game, I'm going to need myself a 5-hour energy to keep myself going. So with a 5-hour energy, it's a brand hardworking people like you have trusted for over 20 years to give them the energized feeling that they need to get through a busy, hectic day. You always know where to find 5-hour energy shots right at the cash register at nearly every convenience, drug, and grocery store nationwide. Stock up on money-saving multi-packs to make sure you never run out of delicious, energizing 5-hour energy shots. If you go to 5-Hour Energy, that is the number 5, hourenergy.com, and get some 5-Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. I want to shout out all my Eagles nesters out there. And I want to shout out specifically all of you that have messaged me, because Eagles Nest is a way to connect with me. For the price of a cup of coffee, you can sign up. It's in the show notes. It's like having my cell phone number. If you're like, I want to talk BC sports with AJ, you could do it. I send out videos to you guys, but I also respond to texts. I send out different thoughts, things that are going on with each show. You get the show sent to you. I'm gonna get better on that. But I've been doing it. We have over 40 people signed up for this. And I want you to sign up as well so I can talk to you guys about BC sports. Sign up now. I think you get the first couple of weeks free if you sign up quick. So get on that. Now, there's, when you're going to games against Missouri, obviously Thomas Castellanos is going to be one of the biggest X factors in this game. But I have a couple players that I'm going to be watching for that I think are going to be players that are going to be critical in terms of what they're going to do against the Tigers. On the defensive side of the ball, the biggest name I keep going back to is going to be Cam Horsley. The way that the Tigers have been running the ball, the way that they've had 9 touchdowns, they've run for over 400 yards, they're going to do some things on the ground. You need to be able to cause some mayhem, especially up front. And I look at the middle of that line. I look at what Horsley has done. He was a joy to watch against Duquesne. In the last couple of episodes, I brought it up, but he was getting penetration like instantly into the backfield. If he can do that kind of disruption against the Tigers, he could slow down that running game and force Brady Cook to throw the ball more. And I honestly don't think that's the worst idea, given the fact that that's what they've been living, running the ball. I think he's going to be a big X factor for me. But the bigger one, the bigger X factor, I'm going to say is Daveon Crouch. And here's why. You're going to have to spy Brady Cook a lot. And you can't spy him with Cam Horsley, obviously. You're going to have one of your linebackers. It's either going to be Cam Arnold or it's going to be Daveon Crouch. I would go probably Crouch because he's a little bit more physical, but it's going to be one of those 2 linebackers. They're going to be a key because Cook is going to try to extend plays with his legs. your linebackers are going to be the key to slowing that down. So whoever's lining up to spy him, to prevent that from happening, whether it's Arnold or Crouch, is going to be my X factor. Because I think if they can slow down Cook and not let him do those kinds of things, that will be key. That's my first X factor. On the offensive side of the ball, my X factor in this game is going to be Kamari Morales. We saw him catch his first collegiate touchdown for BC this last week. And as Mitch Wolf has said in different articles on our site and on our podcast, BC has really not opened up their playbook yet. We've seen them running some basic routes, specifically passing, that you would just see Bill O'Brien do for years. But there's going to be more coming up. And I think the biggest X factor is going to be that tight end position, because I think they're going to use them, especially if like your wide receivers are struggling to get open at times. I would look for lots of scrambling with Castellanos, and then instead of running it all the time, which I think he'll run it a fair amount, I think he's going to get the ball to his tight end. So I'm going to look at Kamari Morales this game. So Kamari Morales and I'm going to say either linebacker are my biggest X factors in this game. Who are yours? Who are the guys that you're thinking, that's not Thomas Castellanos is going to be a big factor? Is it an offensive lineman, Donovan Nazaraku? Tell me who it is. Leave it in the comment section. That's going to wrap this episode up. And I want to also, before we head out, I want to also shout out to all the BC fans that have been reaching out either in the comment sections or on Twitter. It's been overwhelming. I got a great comment today about how someone was really glad that BC is winning because they've listened to me try to make bad teams interesting. And he's happy that I get to cover a good team finally. I love that. I agree with him. I really don't. I'm so happy to be able to cover a team that's fun, but I'm excited for you guys more because having the fan base back is always great. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Join our Eagles Nester. Make sure to hit the subscribe button before you head out, and I'll see you all again tomorrow. Well, we'll be on rest of the week. We have another episode tomorrow. I'm going to be on Thursday with Locked On Mizzou. We're going to do a 2-person podcast, both back and forth. And then on Friday, Mitch and I will do our preview and prediction for the week. So it's packed. And then Saturday, Mitch is going to be at the game at Missouri, and I will do a postcast. I don't know with him or not. I'm not sure what we're doing. But stay here on Locked On BC and find Locked On Boston for those postcasts. Make sure you subscribe there too. All right, we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode, and I can't wait to see y'all there. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day.